Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan. Today we're going to be trying something that is a new product out there this year. This is coming out of Green River, so if you're not aware, Green River recently acquired by Bardstown Bourbon Company. So these folks, they're right here. How do I do that? That's a weird angle for me to... I can do this, I swear. Right here, these folks. So they acquired Green River, and since then, by all accounts, the quality of the product has gone up, which is obviously a great thing. And I think it was last month I ended up reviewing Green River's Rye bottle, which is a great bottom shelfer. Well, yeah, bottom to low mid shelfer. I think it's like a $30 bottle. And I was pretty high on that bottle for the price point. I thought it was really competitive there and a really nice sip. If you you weren't even going to mix it, you just wanted to sip it on its own. I think that Rye was pretty solid for the price point. So we have a new product here. This is the Full Proof bourbon coming out of Green River. It does come in at 117.3 proof, and it has been getting some pretty solid reviews out there. So I was excited to try this out because I picked this bottle up for 50 bucks. So if it's good, that's a great price point for a good full proof bourbon out there on the market right now, right? And I'm going to be making a comparison in my head with another product that is coming out of the same owner, not the same distiller, obviously, but Bardstown Bourbon Company, who owns Green River. They distill a $50 bottle that is the Origin Series Black Label. That bourbon is phenomenal to me. I adore that bottle. I think at that $50 price point, it's like the best bang for your buck out there. So if this is at the same price point, can it compete? That's what we're going to try and find out today. So a lot of people saying this is a new shelfer. Let's find out. So I got high hopes here because honestly, I think that it's a great price point for something that's this high proof. So if this is a good bourbon, 117 proof, full proof bourbon for 50 bucks, that's going to be hard to beat. On the nose, first thing that comes to mind is those like cinnamon and honey glazed graham crackers. You get a box of graham crackers from the grocery store. It's got the little cinnamon and honey glaze on top of it. That's what comes to mind. Or even Teddy Grahams. You know, the little honey glazed Teddy Grahams? That's what I think of when I smell this. Yeah. Honey, cinnamon, graham cracker, all in one on the nose here. A little bit of oak presence on the nose, but not a ton. This just smells like a tasty snack. You know, if you're a 10-year-old. All right, let's try it. Cheers. Admittedly, first sip of the day. I may have to acclimate to it a bit. But initial impression is flat palate, great finish. Yeah, when I first went in on that first sip, I got a lot of that heat. A little bit of that cinnamon, but mostly just the spice part of it. But then that honey and graham cracker came in with a great intertwining with oak for a nice long finish there, which I really did appreciate. Let's see if it softens up after a couple of sips, because like I said, that is the first sip of the day. Let's go back in on it. The palate's not quite opening up like I wanted it to. It's a little bit of a one-noter. I get a lot of that sort of, what I would attribute to a sort of artificial sweetness that you get on some old-timey candies. I think of those, remember those candy cigarettes? I think you can still find them in like the dedicated old school candy stores, but they kind of took them off the shelf. I don't think they like the idea of kids walking around like, oh, look at me. You know what I mean? But they were common when I was a kid. Or even like I guess maybe a better comparison would be a Lick-a-Stick. Remember if you have Fun Dip and you just take the little white sticks out, and before you dip them into any of the powder, you just try the stick by itself. That's what this reminds me of, that sort of artificial old-timey candy sweetness on the palate. Really doesn't seem to be opening up for me much. The finish is nice. I really like this finish. It hangs on for a fair amount of time. You get plenty of oak in there. And like I said, that graham cracker and the honey notes in there, that's where they kind of come alive, is in that finish. But unfortunately, up front, I'm just really not getting a lot of nuance out of this bottle, which maybe expectations are too high for it being a $50 bottle. But that being said, let me do a little side-by-side. I'm going to grab a little nip from the Origin Series Black Label. This bottle is getting dangerously low. So this is 100 proof. So the Green River is, the full proof here is non-age stated, which means since it's non-age stated and it says straight bourbon whiskey, we know that it's at least 4 years old whiskey in here, 4-year-old whiskey in here. It's a blend of different barrels, so it could be 4 to 6, could be 4 to 7, I don't know. But the Bardstown here is all 6-year-old bourbon at the very least. So, same price point, owned by the same people. This is the Origin Series Black Label. I mean, come on. 17 proof points lower, it's 100 proof. So much more flavor though. The finish on the Bardstown is more butterscotchy, more sweetness. You do get more of that nice sweet oak on the finish of the Green River Full Proof. So I think if I had to pick between the two when it comes to the finish, I do like this Green River Full Proof better. But when it comes to just the way the whiskey itself tastes up front, I gotta go with the Bardstown all day, every day. So I guess it just depends on what kind of experience you want, what's more important to you. So if I've got to give the Green River Full Proof a score on my scale, you know, I do think it's going to get some points for the price point. You know, being a 117 proof, full proof bourbon for 50 bucks, that's pretty competitive. So got to give kudos there. The finish was excellent. Really appreciated that finish. I do like those graham cracker and honey and oak notes. They come through nice and strong at the beginning of the finish, and they last a long time, which I really love. But it is going to lose some points on the palate. I think the palate is a little bit flat, a little bit of a one-noter. It unfortunately didn't open up the way I wanted it to, and I kept trying and kept wanting to get more out of it, and it just wasn't happening. So I think that I'm going to give this bottle a 6.7 on my scale because it's very comfortably in the maybe buy category. I think there's a lot of value in it because of the price point and the great finish that you got, coupled with the proof on it. So I think it's very competitive in that department. So I would put it firmly in the maybe buy category, but I do want more complexity out of the palate. You know, maybe it's a little nitpicky, but I am expecting to get more flavor out of something that hasn't been diluted. If it hasn't been watered down, hasn't really been diluted, it's at that full proof, then I am expecting to get some more robust flavor out of it. It just wasn't happening today. So 6.7 is what I give the Green River Full Proof. I think overall, if this bottle was standing right next to the Green River Rye on the shelf, I'm more inclined to pick up the Rye for 30 bucks than I am to pick this up for 50. And if I'm looking for a full proof bourbon, I would probably say at a similar price point, you know, around that $60 price range, I'd like that $17.92 full proof, which I'm getting kind of low on my bottle, but I love that bottle. So I think for around that same price point, I would rather reach up another $5 to $10 to grab that bottle than take this one. Just my opinion. But there it is. That's the review of the Green River Full Proof. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, feel free to leave a like on the video, as that's the best free way to support the content here on YouTube. And consider subscribing for more whiskey content. Big shout out to my Patreon supporters. You guys are the reason that I can pick up the bottles that I do. You fund all the purchases that I make for this channel, and the bottles that we review are all thanks to you. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. Couldn't do the channel without you. Feel free to get involved in our Discord. Got a link in the description. We'd love to see you there. Cheers. May you live richly and get better with age. And I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.